Have you heard about the NDP's motion to end Canadian arms exports to Israel? Many in the movement are celebrating this as a victory. Some even see it as a step forward towards a free Palestine. But this motion was nothing more than political theater. It does nothing to end Canadian arms exports to Israel. Let me explain. Canada had already stopped approving arms exports permits before January 7th, and any permits in force before January 7th will remain in force despite the motion, so it changes literally nothing. To make this motion more palatable to the Liberals, the NDP used watered-down language that conceded to Zionist propaganda. They defended Israel's right to defend itself and demanded that Hamas surrender its weapons. There was no mention of a ceasefire or of rebuilding Gaza, no mention of Palestinian statehood, just empty appeals to international law, which have done nothing for the Palestinians. Oh, and everything in this motion was non-binding anyway, so what was the point again? Let's not forget that this is all happening in the context of the NDP propping up genocide Justin. If the NDP really wanted to end Canadian support for genocide, they would call a vote of no confidence and bring the Liberal government down. The only thing keeping Justin Trudeau and the Liberals in power right now is the NDP's refusal to bring them down. But have the NDP really given us any reason to believe they support Palestine? This is the same party that expelled Ontario MPP Sarah Jama for supporting Palestine. It's the same party that maintains ties with the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, which is a Zionist lobbying group. But we're not surprised by this. This is what trying to reform a system based on exploitation and oppression gets you. When you accept capitalism, you accept its logic. You accept the capitalist right to maximize profits and defend their interests by any means necessary. And for the Canadian ruling class today, that means allowing Israel to commit a genocide. It's clear that this motion was nothing more than a political maneuver and that all of the parties have Palestinian blood on their hands. If you have been on the streets these past few months, fighting for a free Palestine, demanding an end to this genocide, this is an appeal to you. Bury any illusions you have in establishment leaders and imperialist institutions. No one, absolutely no one in the bourgeois political establishment is going to save Palestine. Not the Liberals, not the NDP, not the UN, not the International Court of Justice, not any Arab regime. They're all complicit. Leaders like Trudeau and Biden aren't convinced by us because they don't answer to us. They answer to the ruling class. They answer to a tiny minority of parasites who control the world's wealth and production solely for their own benefit. In the Middle East, resource and oil extraction is the name of the game. For the US, Canada, and other Western countries, Israel basically acts as their military base, protecting all of their economic and political interests in the region. So the plight of the Palestinians is just not a factor for them. If anything, Palestine is a burden standing in the way of greater and greater profits. Appealing to our rulers to break with Israel is like trying to convince a slave master to free his slaves. Our ruling class will never give up power willingly. It has to be taken by force. The only way to free Palestine is through revolution, a mass uprising to overthrow every single government that allows this brutal subjugation. When every single party has betrayed Palestine, one thing becomes clear. Workers and oppressed people need our own party. We are building the Revolutionary Communist Party right here in Canada to overthrow our rulers who oppress us at home and murder Palestinians abroad. If you want to help us in this task, join us today and start building the forces of communism where you live, where you work, and where you go to school. And join hundreds of communists in Montreal this May for the founding Congress of the Revolutionary Communist Party. Help found the party that will bring down this rotten system. Together, we will win.